HB family, what's happening? My name is Bobby O'Neill. I'm the pitching guy here with Headbanger Sports. And in today's video, I'm just gonna go over what it takes to play professional baseball from my perspective. For those of you guys who don't know, I was blessed and fortunate enough to play for the Minnesota Twins back in 2011. And even though my career was cut a little bit short due to injuries, I was able to play with the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, and a few independent ball teams as well. So this question of playing professionally is actually a question I get all the time. And let me just share with you really quick. These answers that I'm giving you are not answers that I did successfully in my career. These are actually things that I learned after my career that I wish I would have done better. So hopefully you guys can learn from my experiences and kind of take something away that's going to help propel you to your next goal and endeavor here in baseball. So anytime I'm answering this question, I always like to start with the story of how I got drafted and the first impression I had with seeing my competition. So right after I signed my contract with the Minnesota Twins, they flew me from California all the way out to Florida to compete in the GCL, which is the Gulf Coast League. And let me just tell you, it is extremely hot out there. So if you ever get an opportunity to play out there, make sure you are prepared for humidity and heat. But anyways, I get out to the field. It's like 110 degrees with 100% humidity. I'm dying, but I'm just like so eager to see how much better I am than everyone else because I was like super cocky after I got drafted. But anyways, I show up to the field and I put all my stuff in my locker room. And the first thing I want to do is go ego challenge myself and see how much harder than everyone else I throw. So there was a game going on like right outside of the locker room. And so I walked over in my street clothes and I just kind of like casually walked my way back to where the radar guns were. And right behind home plate, there was a couple teammates of mine who I actually ended up playing with all summer, but they were all just like sitting around behind the dugout or behind home plate, and these guys were keeping charts and they were tracking to see how hard each of these guys were throwing. The first pitch I see is from a right-handed pitcher who kind of seemed really scrawny and he looked really small, so I was assuming he wasn't going to be throwing that hard. But first pitch he threw was a 90-mile-an-hour reading on that radar gun. So to me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm 91 to 93, so this is pretty good. I fit in here. And then little did I know that this pitch that was being thrown was actually a changeup. The guy who was keeping track on the chart put it in the changeup category. I personally thought he made an error at first. I'm like, whoa, dude, like, aren't you gonna put that in the fastball category? The very next pitch, like as I was thinking that, the next pitch on the radar gun said 101. And I'm like, okay, how is this like little 5'10" right-handed pitcher who didn't look like he's ever lifted a weight in his life throw 101 miles an hour? And second of all, why is he here and not in the big leagues? So the very next pitch was 101 again and straight to the backstop. And I'm like, oh, it's because he can't throw strikes. But my point is my perspective from my little small town mindset was I thought I was way better than I actually was. And I thought I could show up to that field and just kind of go about business as usual, which was I was completely wrong at because my competition was so much better than I could ever imagine. And I got blown away and humbled countlessly my whole first year of pro ball. All right, and that story always leads me into my second point, which is success happens when opportunity meets preparation. And what I mean by that is the saddest thing in the world that I've ever seen as a professional athlete are teammates of mine who get the opportunity to get drafted, but they haven't been putting in the work. So when they do get that opportunity, they're most likely going to fail because what happens is we all get to a point where we are all matched with equal talent, and it's going to be the work ethic that gets us each to propel to that next level that is required of us. And the guys who haven't been putting in the work, the guys who don't know how to grind and how to struggle through things that they're maybe not necessarily the best at, but they learn how to overcome that obstacle anyways, those guys are always the ones who are able to propel themselves to that next level when the coach asks them to do just a little bit better. The guys who rely on talent alone and don't really like put in a ton of effort when they're on the field or off the field and they just like show up to the field and grind. Those guys who only work when the coaches are watching, those are the guys who typically don't know how to scale up and level up to the next level. Because let me tell you, there is another level. You think you've arrived, all those guys who've been working harder than you pass you as they go to that next level you didn't even know existed. And that's one thing I learned is my talent only got me so far, and injuries kind of led to my demise. But my work ethic really helped me push past levels that a lot of my teammates didn't know existed, especially in college. Like, a lot of people's careers ended in college the year I got drafted, and it's nothing against them. It was literally just an opportunity that aligned for me, that God provided me with. But I knew what it was like to struggle. I suffered back injuries. I had some shoulder fatigue when I was in college, and I had to really like work myself back out of a slump and back out of a low point. And it was those struggling times that taught me how to take my 93 and convert it to 94. It was the coach telling me that my slider was awful and I needed to learn how to throw a cutter if I was going to make the squad. And I was able to push myself to learn something new each and every day. And without having that mindset of understanding that it's success only when your preparation matches your opportunity, like you're never going to be able to advance yourself in this game. I don't think my daughter liked my story there. She was kind of crying in the background. But basically, what my point of this whole video is, talent alone only takes you so far. So make sure you have a ton of work ethic. Don't expect that you're the best person on the team, because you're most likely not. So have that hungry attitude, and you'll most likely surprise yourself and get yourself to heights that you never knew you were capable of. And always, always, always just stay humble and keep persevering through any adversity and any hardship. And Lord willing, if you're met with the right opportunity and you perform in front of the right people, you're going to get your best possible shot at making it to the pros. All right, guys, take care. God bless, and stay tuned for future videos.